Good morning to all of our wonderful bus mums. I am Kirsty Bus, and today we are chatting to KIrsty Melmed, all about the mental load of being a bus mum. I know that this is something that all of us are struggling with as we're trying to juggle the roles of being a mum, and we all want to be a really good mum, but also everything that comes with being an entrepreneur and a business mum, and holding those two roles simultaneously with, of course, all the other roles that we are trying to hold. So really excited about this conversation with Kirst. Before we get started, I do want to take a moment to plug a venue and a business in here that has really helped me over the last while to manage my mental load and to create little blocks of space for me, and that is Rush South Africa. So if you don't know Rush, it is a place that you have to try. I have three children, a 2-year-old, a 6-year-old, and an 8-year-old, all with very different needs in terms of how they stay stimulated and how they use their energy. And Rush just has something for so many of those age groups. They have branches in both Cape Town and Joburg. And while your kids are there, they are safe, they are entertained, the staff are amazing. That is one thing that everybody that goes there says, and I find every single time. They're really enthusiastic, they help your children, and it gives you as a business mum that opportunity to drink a hot coffee if you need, get a little bit of extra work done, answer messages or emails, or just take that opportunity to breathe, sit down, watch your children from a distance if you want, and clear that mental space or create that space. What I find is creating that space between my work day and when my children come home. So I have loved Rush. And I would love for you guys to go and check them out. You can check them out at Okay, good morning, happy Friday, everybody. And we are so excited to have all the bus mums here this morning, and a very special welcome to our very own KIrsty Melmed. Kirst is one of our leaders. She is also a coach and just so full of wisdom and experience. So Kirst, super excited today to chat to you about the mental load of being a bus mum. I know particularly after a long winter holiday, but just in general for bus mums, holding these spaces that are also important to us, both that mum role and also that business role of trying to grow a business. And I think those are, for many of us, not even the only two important roles that we are all trying to hold and juggle. So really, really excited to hear from you today. And excited to share your wisdom and get a little bit more of an insight into you and what you do. So thanks, Kirst. Will you start by introducing yourself, and then I'm going to put my mic off and we can just go from there. It's all yours.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Kirsty. And thank you for inviting me, and thank you for having me here. And thank you everyone for responding to my lastminute.com questions. Bus Mum Mental Load by me, Kirsty Melmed. Here's a little bit about me. So I am a recovering people pleaser, a recovering perfectionist, a recovering overanalyzer / still an overanalyzer. I love thinking things through very deeply. I'm creative, I'm empathetic, I love holding space for other people. I think I'm funny, I love to make people laugh. Although I'm very serious a lot of the time. I'm tired most of the time, and I am a she, her. So I live in Cape Town with my partner of 10 years, Garth, and our almost 4-year-old daughter, Evie. We have almost survived the year of the three-nager, nearly there. My 20s were spent traveling the world working for Contiki, a youth tour operator. So I've been to 31 countries. I lived in Corfu in Greece, Rome in Italy, Lyon in a French chateau in France, a little village near Innsbruck in Austria for a winter season, and London for many years on and off here and there. So it was actually working in travel that led me to becoming a coach. And this is because part of my job was running our annual training trips for all the teams that were spread throughout Europe, and also sitting down and having one-on-one meetings with those team members. And when I decided to move back to South Africa, I was like, I loved my job. Other than the travel, what was it that I loved? And it was exactly those two things. So I did some research and I discovered that life coaching is a thing that even exists in the world. and I found someone to train with, a company called Coaching Development. They're a UK company, but they have a trainer who lives in Fishhook. So that was perfect. Quit my day job, did my training. I also train with her ongoing for the last almost 10 years now in transactional analysis, which is a social psychology that looks at our beliefs and how they form and how they affect our relationships and just show up day to day. So really, really fascinating stuff that underpins everything I do as a person and as a coach. So my 30s have been spent working for myself as a coach. I literally quit my job and opened for business on the 2nd of January in 2016 without any kind of plan or cooking clue how to get my first few clients. I was just passionate about coaching and I knew this is what I wanted to do. So over the last I'm in the 10th year now. So over this time, I have done everything from one-on-one coaching, group programs, workshops, online and in person, digital courses. I've had a couple of memberships. I had a mindset membership for a few years over lockdown, which was amazing. And now I've got a membership for new moms called Brave Mamas. I have run retreats. I have, alongside Nicole, who's on the call today. Hello. I've done team coaching, organizational work, NGO work, and I even run a weekly meditation class. So I like to keep things varied because I'm crazy and also very creative. But this has helped me create my Brave framework, which underpins everything that I do. So if you come and work with me, you're going to be going through the Brave journey with me, which I won't get into now. But yeah, so I'm about to enter my 40s in October. And I really want this next decade to be about security for myself, for my family, for my bank accounts, and also for impact, knowing that I'm reaching more people, helping more people, and really just, yeah, empowering people to feel good about themselves. Okay, so I asked in the group, what does balance mean? And these are some of the answers that we got. I also asked on Instagram some of the answers that we got. And basically, when I read through all of them, I distilled this down to these 5 things. We want more time. We want to be present. We want to be able to take care of ourselves. We want to experience joy. And we want more money. We need financial freedom so that we can do all of those things. So yeah, I'm just going to pause there for a moment. Does anyone want to add anything at this point or ask anything at this point? Feel free to unmute yourself. Otherwise, I'll keep going. All right. So, not to be a Debbie Downer, but I think we can all agree that being a boss mom equals being stressed constantly or being overwhelmed constantly. And here are some of the reasons why. So firstly, studies have shown that moms are responsible for 71% of the mental load at home. Do we all know what the mental load is? It's the invisible mental tasks that are involved in making an actual physical task happen. So, okay, I could, my husband, my partner, Garth, we're not married. He could cook dinner, but who made sure there was food in the fridge? Who took everybody's preferences into account? Who told him what to make? Who, made sure that the teenager ate the food? Like there's all this thinking and planning and strategizing and remembering that goes into each physical task. And moms are responsible for 71% of that. And moms are responsible for 79% of the actual physical tasks. So not only are we doing all the planning and remembering and organizing, but we're actually doing the doing too. So no wonder this is leaving us with no time to run our businesses, to run our lives, to take care of ourselves. We're either fitting work in like wherever we can between kids' schedules, if we've got that kind of a flexible work, or we're working a full day and then we're coming home to parent full time, like through the night as well, because I don't know whose partners get up in the night to care for the kid if that needs to happen. Probably not many. And we're just trying to fit work into that first stretch. So like kids go to sleep and now quick, we're sitting on our laptop, we're catching up. So it's constant, this mental load, this default parenting, and trying to actually grow and run a successful business. No wonder we're exhausted. Everyone else's needs go ahead of our needs, everything. If an email needs to be sent and we're tired, we got to send the email. And if we don't, there's a repercussion. If the If you're trying to do work in the office and your baby is screaming in the other room for you, like, you're either got to try and do that work while that's going on, or you've got to stop what you're doing and you've got to go tend to the baby. Obviously, we all parent in different styles and have different setups in terms of support and that kind of a thing. But I think we can agree that generally speaking, boss moms are carrying a lot, and this is leaving us stressed and overwhelmed. Any comments or points at this point in time?
Just agreeing with you, just nodding along.
Thank you. Oh, I left one out. A pretty important one. Financial insecurity. It's really scary working for yourself and not having a guaranteed paycheck at the end of every month. So many of us are scared to take a break in case it affects our income. Because again, depending on what kind of business you're running, a lot of us are selling our time in exchange for money. So if we can't give our time, then we don't get the money. And that's really scary. So let's just add that onto the anxiety and overwhelm. Okay, so now that I've brought everybody down and feeling super stressed and anxious, because life coach, not my job to do that, what is the solution? What do we do about this? So I think from a very practical point of view, we can look at the way that we're running our lives in terms of communication, in terms of organization. We can look at the way we're running our businesses in terms of the strategy, the automation we spoke about last month, the scaling, why work one-to-one when you could work one-to-many and save your time and make more money. And, there's all these amazing, incredible, wonderful ways of working that save us time, that save us money, that reach more people, that have more impact. Like, there are these incredible strategies that do work. But the problem is you have to have the time and the energy to put into those strategies, to practice those strategies. And I think for a lot of us, that is what's getting in the way, is it's like, I know what I need to do, but I don't have the time or the energy to do it. And I know in our Boss Mom group in July, that's what a lot of us were saying. We're like, there's a breakdown somewhere in the system, and we think the breakdown is the tasks. We're just not getting through them. We don't have time or energy. So I just want to know, give it a thumbs up or show me a thumbs up. Like, do you agree with this? Do you think something else? Let me know. And if not, I'll move forward. I see one thumbs up. Okay, so I am going to provide you with some answers. I'm not going to leave you hanging. But first thing I wanted to show you is my personal story of why strategy alone is not enough. So this is the first 9 years of my business, the income that I generated, the revenue that I generated. And you'll see in the first 3 years, it was pretty low. I mean, I haven't put the numbers there because that's private, but you can see that compared to what was generated in 2019, it was pretty dismal. And I would say from the second year onwards, I started learning about strategy and I started implementing it, but something changed in that fourth year. You can see where the arrow jumps up. Something changed and it really affected my income. And the thing that changed is I started practicing the 4 pillars that I'm going to share with you now, which are basically mindset work and nervous system regulation. And that enabled me to get more organized, to bring in more money and to help more people. And you can see the little dip in 2021, which is when I had my daughter, because, but I was able to at least sustain and then even improve last year, the revenue that I generated. So anyway, that's my input around that. So before we jump into the 4 pillars, I just want to touch on this whole idea of stress and overwhelm. And like, what is it actually? Like, what is happening inside us when we're experiencing the stress and overwhelm? So neuroception is this thing where our brains are constantly scanning our environment, looking for danger, because that is the primary objective of the brain. It's to keep us safe. And so then we have an experience, something happens, and our brain goes, ding, 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 danger. And then in a split second, we don't even notice it. We have a thought about that experience and we assign a meaning to it. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're doing what this lady's doing in the picture, you check in your emails, suddenly you get an email. That's the experience. And then you have the split second where a thought comes into your head of, oh, like, maybe they're telling you didn't do a good enough job. And then you suddenly start this internal dialogue of, I'm not good enough. That then leads to your body responding to that thought. And this is what emotion is. It's actually nervous system dysregulation. It's your body going, I now need to respond to this threat. And then you make a choice. You behave accordingly. You react. So in that example, you got an email, something about it triggered you a little, and you thought, oh, they don't think I'm good enough. Then you start slipping into this dysregulated state, which is the next thing we're going to look at. And you might feel angry, you might feel resentful, you might feel defensive, you might feel frustrated, you might feel depressed, whatever feeling comes up for you. And then that is what triggers your behavior. That is what triggers you to react. So you might send an angry email back before you even know what's happening. Or you might withdraw and retreat and procrastinate sending a response for a week because it's a bit scary to deal with that. Or you might get really friendly with the person. I'm so sorry, and like really bend over backwards to accommodate them, like in this completely disingenuous but sickly sweet way. Yeah. So this is basically what is happening when we are experiencing any kind of stress or overwhelm. We're going through this process. And the way to change that is not by, we're not going to stop our brains from trying to keep us safe. That's its job. It's not going to stop. We can't control other people's behavior. So we can't control the experiences that we have. We're not responsible for that. We don't have control over that. But what we can do is we can become aware of the thoughts that we're thinking and the meaning that we're assigning to things because of where our mindset is at. We can do something about that dysregulation in our body, and we can help ourselves feel safe again in our nervous systems, in our bodies. And which also involves allowing yourself to feel your feelings. And we can choose new behavior. We can show up differently in a way that does serve us. Is this making sense so far? Any questions at this point? Okay, so now let's look at the 4 pillars. So the first one is that bit where it was thought, meaning assigned. Pillar 1 is stop shoulding on yourself. Now, have you noticed that when you use the word should, it usually means, like if you had to stop and ask yourself, should according to whom? So for example, I should respond to that email. Who says? Who says you should respond to this email? Where is that belief coming from? And the short answer, because we have a short amount of time today, but the short answer is whenever you notice yourself using the word should, it's usually some kind of limiting belief that you picked up in childhood because of the information you gathered from the big people around you about how to behave in order to be acceptable, in order to be loved, in order to belong, in order to be safe. And so as tiny little babies all throughout childhood and then throughout our lives, we begin to mold ourselves into behaving according to these limiting beliefs. And there are 5 that drive our behavior, 5 beliefs, and everything else kind of falls within them in different nuances. But these are the 5 beliefs. The first one is I should be perfect. So if I don't get things right, I'm not going to be acceptable. I'm not good enough. I should be perfect. So show of hands or thumbs up, who believes this or who behaves like this? Who is constantly seeking perfection? Where are my perfectionists at? Yeah, okay. Laughing and yeah, okay. I've already said I'm a recovering perfectionist. The second belief is I should please others. Who was told they had to be a good little girl? They had to play nicely. They had to not be angry. They had to not express what they were really thinking and feeling growing up. And this results into people pleasing when we're adults, when we're like, oh, I have to put other people first. I have to share my toys. I have to do what other people want to do, not what I want to do. So other people's needs are more important than my own. Yeah. Who's identifying with that one? Yeah. Okay. Can't see all of you, but the ones I can, I see these knowing smiles. Okay. The third one is I should try hard. Now, this means I've got to keep creating, I've got to keep trying, I've got to keep striving, I've got to keep up with the trends. If everybody else is dancing on TikTok, I need to be dancing on TikTok. This is like shiny object syndrome and imposter syndrome and comparisonitis all rolled up and going, I've got to keep up, I've got to keep trying hard, I've got to go, 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 go. And even when we do achieve, we don't pause and celebrate. We don't stop and take stock. We've got to keep climbing the next mountain. We've got to keep going. We're never going to reach the top. Someone else is going to get there first. That is what that try hard kind of energy is, that belief that drives us. So who's got some of that? Also, the people that are like constantly generating ideas. I never knew I had a lot of this in me, but since becoming a boss mom, let me tell you, it's just constant, like idea, 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 idea. And the thing is, we cannot act on every idea. We don't have enough time. But yeah, we feel like if we don't, someone else is going to, and we're going to lose out. So who's identifying that? Okay, sorry, click something. The fourth one is I should be strong. So this is like, don't show emotion, don't cry. Yana, if you're having a tough day with day one of weaning, don't let on to us that you're having a tough day. Like, this is that, I better not get worked up or people won't take me seriously. I better not get vulnerable or people are going to screw me over. I can't trust. I can't be close. I can't be open. I can't be truthful. And especially in business, I think we sometimes think we've got to put on this brave face, and we don't realize that being brave doesn't mean being a robot. Being brave means, hey, I'm having a hard day and that's okay because I'm a human being. I'm allowed to have a hard day. And especially in our relationships, being strong doesn't serve us. Obviously, there's moments like if you're in a crisis, and all of these have upsides, like it's good to have attention to detail. It's good to care about others. It's good to be creative and generate ideas and have ambition. It's good to be calm in a crisis, to put stuff aside and deal with it afterwards when you really need to. So not saying this is all bad. There's definitely gifts in all of these beliefs, but I think a lot of the time they are driving our behavior in ways that don't serve us. Because if we're trying to be strong all the time and not show our vulnerability, we're not really creating true connection. And we're not acknowledging our own needs. And then the last one is I should hurry up. It's like this speed demon lives inside us. And it's like, okay, I got that email. I have to respond immediately. And it's like, no, you can take your time and think about it. Who says it has to be immediate? And I know we live in this digital world where everything is immediate. And I remember, like, Nicole, you shared on your stories the other day how you got to the ATM and you had to wait to draw the money out. And the person in front of you was like, when do we ever get to wait 2 minutes? Like, everything's so immediate. And I love that story because I was like, yes, who doesn't have 2 minutes to wait in a line? But we feel like everything is so, what's the word? Everything is so urgent all the time. And yeah, I'm not sure that that's serving us. In fact, I know that it's not. So when you notice yourself behaving in ways that portray these beliefs, these shoulds, even when you actually say the word should, stop and notice and give yourself permission to be a human being with needs. Okay, you're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to consider your needs too. You're allowed to just pause and let the idea settle or celebrate the wins along the way. You're allowed to be vulnerable and have feelings. You're allowed to slow down, to be present, to not be in such a rush all the time and multitasking every second of the day. People can wait. It's okay. They're not going to go anywhere. And if they do, they're not your people. Thoughts, questions, feelings around this?
Maybe, Kirsty, I'll just say, like, I think there's this, like, it's so layered. It's like the expectation we have on ourselves to be all of those things, but then I know for myself, it's like you do it once, you portray yourself once that way, and now it feels like I need to maintain this image, of perfection or always being strong, and that's like somehow almost accidentally become the identity that has been placed on me, and now it's this matter of trying to maintain it all the time. So even if I give myself permission, I admit like I'm not perfect all the time, part of me still goes, yeah, but they just can't find out. Like it's okay if I have peace about it, but like this is what they think about me now, so I should keep it that way. And that extra layer is so unnecessary, but almost the harder one to deal with, because it almost feels like you're letting down a version of you that lives in other people's heads, not just yourself. At least that's something I'm really struggling with.
Absolutely. And one of the most important things I ever heard somebody say, some kind of mindset spiritual teacher, I don't know, is he was like, other people's opinions of you is none of your business. It's none of your business. You can't change it. You can't control it. You're not responsible for it. As long as you are showing up in a way that aligns with your values, that feels good to you, that reflects respect and integrity, how they respond to that is through the filters of their own childhoods and experiences and mindset stuff. And it's none of your business, which is the hardest thing to accept. Especially if you've got a lot of this should please other people in you, which I do. So being misunderstood is like death to me. But is it really? Yeah.
We were talking about this at our Bus Mum meetup, because I feel like I'm at that stage that I maybe like recovering people pleaser. So I naturally, like, I always want to do the right thing, and I always have. And I've got to that stage now that I'm like going against that, and I'm putting in boundaries. So I'm at the stage that I am putting in the boundaries, but then like internally, oh my goodness, it feels horrible. And it just takes so much of my emotional, I don't know, just like capacity away with putting in those boundaries, and with then people being upset about you and me wanting to like correct the story and help them understand why I did that. So yeah, Yolandi and I were talking about that at our Business Mum meetup. Someone had a question, but I can't see it now. Can you see someone's hand up?
Philomen? Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I guess I wasn't a question, just a reflection. But this is something that someone coached me on quite early in my 20s, I think through sports actually. But there's also something like neuro-linguistics. So how you talk to yourself. And I think I was told, and this is in Dutch, so maybe it works in Afrikaans as well, but we would say I should is more like ik moet. And you're telling yourself that, you must, you should. And I was told quite at an early age, and I'm very thankful for that person, that you should always tell yourself you want to, ik wil. So ik wil perfect zijn, I want to be. And then a lot of these shoots that are on the list will naturally drop, because a lot of them are actually not something that you want. You think you need to, or you should. But if you become like more in like your own friend, your own cheerleader, like there are some of the list that maybe you want, but there's definitely like no one really wants to hurry up. You think you need to. So if you go through this list and keep in mind, I want to, it helps quite naturally to make this distinction between what is your internal motivation and what is your perceived expectation from the outside world. And that really helped me. And I don't actually identify with this list at all, which is pretty cool.
Brilliant.
So,
That's amazing. And I'm so glad you shared both of those points, because so I always say change your shoulds into coulds. I could be perfect. I have a choice there, because could gives you choice, or want gives you choice and agency. So I really love that you shared that. Thank you, because that's so helpful. And then the last thing you just said there, which was I don't identify with this anymore, is I want to offer that to everyone as hope, that when I say I'm a recovering perfectionist, like quite honestly, I mean, if my perfectionism was seeping into like 95% of my life, I can quite honestly say at this point, it seeps in like when I'm under immense stress, because it's a safety net for me, a pretend safety net. So like maybe 20% of the time I'm striving for that perfectionism, but the rest of the time I'm able to let it go and let things be messy and chaotic, almost too much. Maybe I could have a little bit more of the perfectionism or organization or whatever come into it. So it's always this balance. But yeah, so I just want to offer that as hope, to say like, if you become aware of this and you actively, consciously give yourself permission to see it differently, to reframe it, to give yourself the agency or the choice to do it differently, it does start to change. And it doesn't become your default reaction, it becomes a choice. And you're able to catch that for yourself more often the more you do it. And you're not going to get it right starting on from this moment forward. You're going to get it very wrong most of the time. And then slowly but surely, that awareness increases and the ability to pause and make the choice increases. And suddenly, oh, I don't feel like I'm a perfectionist anymore. Cool. And you've got to keep working at that. I'm going to move us forward just because I know I've got probably too much to get through. So, yeah. Okay, so pillar 2 is working with your body. So when you were saying, Kirsty, about how like I'm putting in the boundaries and I'm doing all these things, but then I'm left with this feeling of like, oh, I need to explain, I need to make it right. This pillar, I think, is so helpful with that because that feeling triggers a chain reaction in our body. So this is just a quick overview of polyvagal theory, which is what is happening inside us when we experience the stress response. So if you had to imagine your nervous system as a ladder, and you can move up and down the ladder, when you're at the top of the ladder, you're in rest and digest mode. And this is where you really want to be spending most of your time. When you're at the top, you can socialize, you can get on with work, you can be productive, you can communicate, you can problem solve, you can have access to the executive functioning in your brain. You can really just get on with life and be a functioning member of society. But when your brain is scanning and that thing happens and it feels stressful, we move down the ladder into a stress response, a sympathetic nervous system, which is fight, flight, or fawn. I've perceived a danger, and now I'm either going to fight that danger. So now I'm going to get defensive and I'm going to tell you off for not being okay with my boundary. Or I'm going to flee away from the danger. I'm just going to shut my laptop and not respond and run away. Or I'm going to fawn. Sorry, I clicked the bump stick. I'm going to fawn all over you to make nice with the danger. I'm going to say, I'm so sorry you didn't like that. You're right, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to go back on what I said. Does that make sense? So I'm going to fight the thing, I'm going to flee away from it, or I'm going to fawn all over it and make friends. Because in our bodies, these types of situations is like we're back, in the olden days of being humans, where there were tigers and bears around every corner. And our body is responding the same because our nervous system hasn't quite caught up with modern day challenges and experiences. So when I set a boundary and someone doesn't like it, it feels like there's a bear in front of me. Now I've got to fight it, run away from it, or make friends with it. Or if we have these experiences often, daily, chronically, if stress or perceived stress is a daily, hourly occurrence, or if it's incredibly acute, it's like a trauma, something bad happens. We move further down the ladder, this is a different part of the nervous system, further down the ladder into freeze. And people don't realize that freeze is actually different to fight, flight, or fawn. They think it's the same, but it's not. Freeze is when your body actually shuts down to preserve itself, to conserve your energy, because the danger is just ever present. So now I'm going to go Netflix for the rest of the night. Or now I'm going to go have a nap and fall asleep, or I'm going to procrastinate doing the thing I need to do. I'm going to sabotage myself in that way because I actually just don't have the energy to deal with this thing. And that is a problem as boss moms because we need a lot of energy. But it's really hard. It's really hard to make a success of things when you're operating most of the time in this activated state. So you're either fighting, fleeing, or fawning, which is people pleasing, by the way, or you're in this like functional freeze state where it's like, I can show up, I can drive my kids to school, I can send emails and stuff, but I'm like, it's like, there's nothing, it's like I'm here in my body, but I'm not here anywhere else. I'm not feeling anything. I'm quite numb, I'm quite dissociated. I'm just constantly feeling this fear and anxiety and exhaustion. And I think that's where burnout lives, when you actually find yourself stuck there and you don't know how to get back up the ladder again. because this ladder exists for a reason. It's useful. If there is actual danger, you need to be able to respond to it. So your body having a response to true, genuine danger, like if you're driving and someone cuts you off, you have to react to that to keep you safe. So you need to go into flee mode and move the other way, or fight mode and, you know, start pressing on the hooter or whatever it is. You need to react to that. It's appropriate. But then your body needs to calm down and come back up the ladder into rest and digest, where it can rest from the exertion of dealing with the danger and digest what happened and carry on functioning. But because we are living so stressful, overwhelming, hectic lives, we don't get that opportunity to come back up the ladder. We are stuck in the middle or even the bottom zone because we're just so exhausted. Any questions about this? So what do we do? When you find yourself, so firstly, as always, the first step is always awareness. Have awareness of how you're feeling in your body. So when you do something that your mind is telling you, oh, you're not allowed to do that, don't stand up for yourself, you're going to feel it in your body and you're going to notice, oh, my heart is pounding, my stomach is churning, I'm sweating. I'm like, you know, it's different for all of us. We'll all feel that differently. For me, I get this like flashing feeling in my body. I don't know how else to describe it, but become familiar with how your body's feeling so that you know when you're slipping down that ladder. Because when you're in this middle stage, you're quite activated, there's energy there. And so you can use that to bring yourself back up. You can practice breath work. There's so many different breathing techniques. I mean, a simple in and out will do, but you know, you can do box breathing. You can do like longer out breaths and shorter in breaths. There's so many ways to consciously breathe. But that's all gonna tell your nervous system, oh, it's okay, the danger's past. I can come back up the ladder. Movement is such a good one because when this happens, all these stress hormones are flooding your body, adrenaline and cortisol. Someone mentioned that as like, I don't want to constantly be living with this like a cortisol spike. So go move your body and burn those hormones off. Like movement always helps. And it doesn't have to be intense. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. You can just go for a walk. You can do some jumping jacks or burpees if that's your thing. It's not my thing. You could put on a song and you could dance crazy like a mad woman, you know. You could just do some stretches. Like any kind of movement is going to help you move out of the state. You can go vent appropriately. And I say appropriately because venting can also keep you worked up. It can keep you in that activated state. But if you vent to a safe person and you do it with a time limit and you kind of get it all out until there's nothing left, now you take the deep breaths and you're like, okay, I got it out of my head. I got it out of my body. Oh, do it by yourself. Write it out, journal it out. Just purge every thought in your head onto a piece of paper and then go burn it. Get it out of your body. And then the last point, I'm not sure if you can see it here because I've got your faces in the way, is co-regulation. Go borrow somebody else's calm. This is what our tantruming toddlers do with us. They come and they seek, well, they might not always seek it, but we're hopefully trying to give it to them, some calm and some safe space. So, because there's a thing called mirror neurons where our brains can see what the other person's brains are doing and can copy. So if you go to a safe, trusted, calm person and you're in the state and they give you a hug or they hold your hand or they listen to you speak, you're going to start to calm down. You're going to feel that. So co-regulation is really, and that's why like all these communities that Kirsty's created, all the group stuff that I do, that I'm sure a lot of you do, it's co-regulation. We're all coming together and we're sharing this and it's lightening that for us. It's helping us calm down. And then just quickly, because I have no idea what the time is. Oh, okay. So when we find ourselves down at the bottom of the ladder and we're in that freeze mode, the thing to know about that is you don't have the energy to like go to the meetup necessarily or start venting or go hiking in nature. Like you don't have that in you. You need to be very gentle with yourself when you're in this state. It's a slow process to get out of it. And sometimes it needs support from a medical professional. So sometimes you need to go see your doctor if you're in this state on a regular basis, like if you're living here. But other things you can do, again, breath work, but like don't concern yourself with what was that box breath exercise? Now I need to count and remember. Like you don't have it in you to do that, just breathe. Just breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. And keep breathing until you feel something shift inside you. Gentle movement. This is wonderful, where you can go stretch or go for a gentle walk, or even just go sit outside under a tree. Go borrow nature's calm. Rest. It's okay to nap. Like, stop. Just stop. Stop the hamster wheel. Go to bed. When you wake up, you'll be reset. And if you do need to binge watch a safe show because it brings you comfort, that's okay. But just don't do it forever. Don't do it in lieu of everything else that you need to do. Like, set yourself a bit of a time limit, and that we're going to get to in the next point. So resting is okay. Grounding. So go stand on the grass, go play with the rocks, go to the scratch patch, go to the beach, walk on the sand, put your feet in the ocean, like anything like that. Grounding with nature is really calming for this stage, and it rejuvenates us. And again, co-regulation. Go get your hug from your person. Go lie together. Go sit with a friend. You don't have to talk. Just sit next to each other and look at a pretty view, you know? So gentle when you're at the bottom of the ladder. When you're in midway, you've got a bit more energy, you can go for it. And when you're at the top and you're trying to stay there, this is when you do your foundational practices of wellness. You know, when you're activated and you're dysregulated, that's not the moment to like, cool, now I'm going to go to the sip and paint. Like, that's not that. Those are where you need to take care to bring yourself up. But if you're up and you want to stay up as much as possible, then you need to practice self-care. And my approach to self-care is very holistic. It's not just bubble baths and going for walks. For me, I mean, it is that too. It's movement, it's nutrition, it's being creative, it's doing mindset work. It's involving yourself with community, being around other people, socializing, laughing, having fun, leaning on your faith if you have faith. It's going to therapy, it's seeing a coach, it's putting down boundaries, it's turning your phone off. Like, all of that is self-care, and all of that establishes an ongoing practice of calm in your system. But again, we're not seeking perfection with that. We're not trying to be perfectly regulated. We're not trying to be calm all the time and never have a feeling. We're not trying to like have this amazing morning routine that never gets interrupted or goes wrong. We're not seeking perfection, just progress, one thing at a time. Is this making sense? Resonating? So, pillar 3 is balancing structure and nurture. What do I mean by that? If you imagine that voice in your head, that one that's telling you all the shoulds, as an inner parent voice, it's like you've got this parent in your head. If you think about a parent's role, it's to provide structure for a child. It's to teach them to brush their teeth, to look both ways before crossing the road, to play nicely with others, to follow the rules of society, and to keep safe. But it's also to be nurtured, to love, to show compassion and empathy, and hug them when they're sad, and all of that. So a lot of us growing up experienced a whole spectrum of that. And that left us with this voice in our head that's really harsh a lot of the time, or is incredibly permissive a lot of the time. And I'll tell you what I mean by that in a moment. So imagine you're driving on this highway. On the one side of the road is structure. Now, we need structure, right? We need to have the discipline to do the things that we say we're going to do. If we've committed, so like me as a coach, if I've got a coaching session today, I need to show up for that coaching session today, right? I can't let my client down because I'm just not in the mood. I've got to do the things I say that I'm going to do when I'm going to do them. I have to have integrity, and that requires structure. It requires discipline from me. I need to decide what is negotiable and what's non-negotiable. So for me, with certain work things like coaching, it's non-negotiable that my daughter cannot be at home when I'm doing that. It's too distracting, and it's not fair to the person who's paid me money to coach them. But there are some meetings that I do with colleagues quite regularly that it is negotiable. She can be there. They don't mind her being there. She can chat. We can, and I'm just speaking about myself for a coach. It's different for all of you with whatever you do. But that's the boundaries piece. It's like, what is negotiable and what is non-negotiable here? What can I have to do, and what is a bit more flexible. And then you want to be wary though of being too rigid or critical. because that's what too much structure does, too much discipline. It becomes really rigid. And that's when you're going to start feeling bad. So you imagine you're driving on this road, right? If you veer into the shoulder of the road, into like overly controlling, you run the risk of getting off the road into the ditch, into the grass bank there, into being really rigid. Does that make sense? And maybe when we look at the other side, it'll balance each other out. So the other side of the road is nurture. So what does this mean? I need to offer myself self-compassion when I don't do the things that I said I was going to do. I have to be flexible that I am a human being with needs. I need to honor those needs and my own values. And sometimes that means saying no to something or saying yes to something. But I need to be wary of being too indulgent, too permissive. I can't be constantly making excuses and going, oh, sorry, I couldn't show up for that thing because I didn't feel good. Oh, I'm sorry, I had a bad night's sleep, so I couldn't do that piece of work that you've paid me to do. You know, there are times when you need to have the discipline and say, yes, I can be my own parent in my head and be like, this needs to be done. And there are times when I can be my own kind of loving, nurturing parent, and I can say, today's not the day. Today, my needs take precedence. Today, I can press pause on that. I can come back to it. And it's a balance. It's a constant balance. And this, by the way, is actually taken from a piece of theory, which is around parenting, not even the reparenting, but parenting. So when you think about your kids, it's the same balance of like, you know, I need to teach them boundaries, but I also need to hold their feelings about it. And it's the same thing for us. We need to have boundaries in our businesses and our lives. And we also need to be kind to ourselves. Does this make sense? Any thoughts or questions? I know I'm throwing a lot at you. I just got really excited and I was like, they need to know this, and they need to know this, and they need to do this. Okay, nearly done. Okay. You'll like the fourth pillar, I'm sure. Authentic joy. Guys, don't forget to have fun along the way. Like, you don't have to earn time off. You don't have to earn the right to laugh and be with your children and do the things that bring you joy. We're not human doings. We're human beings. And sometimes we need to stop and just be. And I've put this quote in here that I wrote, which is, she finally stopped asking permission to laugh too loud, rest too much, or dance just because. And there's something about that statement that like brings tears to my eyes, where I'm like, yes, yes. I want to take care. I want to have fun. I want to be present. I want to do the things that light me up. So I know it's serious business parenting, and I know it's serious business being in business, but also just remember to do the things that you enjoy, whether that's through work or through parenting, playing with your kids or running retreats or whatever it is that lights you up. And a lot of you identified this with your balance ideas, was I also want to, someone, was it Hannah, said about the third space. What are the things I enjoy? Do I love cooking or gardening or painting or playing the guitar, photography? Like, what are the things that I love that are not work and are not parenting? Do I have a hobby? Someone asked me that and I was like, I don't know, a hobby. Can work be a hobby? I love my work. I don't think it's a hobby. So we need to remember we're whole people, and part of that is leaning into this joyful experience called life. So there's some nice pictures here. So what is the solution? That's what I asked after we looked at all the stressful stuff. Can't tell our brains to stop scanning for danger. We can't change what other people do. But what we can do is we can give ourselves permission to start thinking differently, which will create more awareness of how we feel in our bodies and doing something about that, which is the last one, which is permission to make choices that are in our best interest. And that is all from me today. There's a few minutes left for questions, but I just wanted to say, if you want to stay in touch, I'm in the Boss Mom group anyway, so feel free to pop something in there. If something comes to mind later or even next week, I'm really happy to answer. I've got a free PDF called 20 Self-Care Ideas, which is based on my whole self approach to self-care. So often when we do have 5 minutes to ourselves, it's like, what do I do now? Do I just scroll or sleep or watch TV? What do I do? So I've got a whole thing with a bunch of ideas for you that are actually going to make an impact. And that also obviously gets you onto my newsletter list. I'm on Instagram, and I offer one-on-one coaching where I take people through this whole process. So if you want to create more awareness of your thoughts, your feelings, and your behavior, chat to me about coaching. Okay. And I'll share that freebie in the group if that's okay, Kirsty.
Of course. Kirst, thanks so much. Does anybody have any questions?
I know it was a lot, but I hope that there's something you can take with you from all of this.
Definitely, thank you. And there was a little bit of chit chat in the group along the way. So I don't know if you needed to check in any of that, but I think it was mostly just people resonating. But yeah, I mean, I've heard some of this stuff from you before, and I think every time that I do, it's just such a great reflection on, I think for me, the fact that I have choice in a lot of this, and a lot of the time I feel I'm falling victim to a lot of stuff. Where if I can start with a little bit of a pause first, I think is what I really am taking from this, is giving myself that permission to pause. My plan was to just close my eyes at the end of this call because Blake was asleep, but he woke up. But there you go. But to pause and just take a bit of time, and then to be able to actually start making some different choices and know that I can do that. So thank you for this. I really needed that.
Good, you're so welcome. And also just remember that those choices can be made moment to moment. What you need right now when he closes his eyes might be different than what you need tomorrow when he closes his eyes, and that's okay. Like, we can be flexible, and we can really begin to listen to what is my body telling me I need right now. Where am I on that ladder? What's going to help me?
Yeah, I think that daily kind of check-in thing is so important. Like back when I did was it the self-care challenge?
Could be.
Back then. And that daily check-in with that lovely meditation that you take people through, of where am I, what am I needing right now, I think should definitely be something that gets taken into business, because to pause before jumping into the business of business and going, where am I at today? What is my body needing right now? And just taking that few moments, I think would go a long way for me. And when I was talking with Sarah earlier, I was saying, like, I know I need more movement. And that's one of the things I'm starting to, like, to bring a little bit more movement in, has really started to help already. But yeah, so thank you for those reminders. I shall mute myself again now.
You're welcome. And I saw something in the comments about productive. Oh, Jana put doing something that is not productive. Yeah. So, like, I just want to drive home the point that rest is productive. It is productive. Spending time with your family is productive. Because it's in service of you and how you feel, and you are at the heart of your business. You are at the heart of your family. So if you are not in a good space, that's going to ripple effect outwards. I mean, you could see just from my income graph, like, if something like how much revenue I'm creating is being so affected by me and the state that I'm showing up in, everything else in my life is too. Everything, other aspects of my business are too. So it is productive.
Yeah, I mean, it's so good. And like I can translate that for like rest. But when you were talking about like things that bring me joy and like hobbies, I mean, I don't know when last I had a hobby, like what is that? This thing you do that isn't to someone else's benefit or can be considered, even like even that, you're right. Like if I'm taking care of myself, I show up better in all those other spaces. But it's such a mindset shift. I mean, I even find myself justifying like, I'm going to stay up 15 minutes later tonight and read my novel because then I'll sleep better, and if I sleep better, I'll be a better mom tomorrow. Instead of just going, I really want to read a chapter in my book because I like reading. And that's actually enough. Like,
yeah,
I don't have to justify it any further, but it's like I have to really like do all these things in my head to convince myself this is okay for me to choose something for me because somehow I'm actually doing it for everybody else. And I think that's what I need to really break, is be like, actually, no, like, damn it. Like, I'm allowed to just do things for me as a person that sparks joy because, that's it. I'm me first before I'm all these other things.
Yeah. There's an amazing account on Instagram. She's like a cartoonist or something. Maybe some of you follow her. I'll put her in the group. She does a lot of mom content, and her whole thing is eat the damn peach. She's like, why are you saving that peach for your child? She's like, you deserve to eat the peach too. eat the damn peach. And she started this whole movement of people around the world getting peach tattoos because they're like, I'm going to eat the damn peach. Or in my case, I'm going to eat the avo. She's not the only one who deserves to eat the avo in the house. I'm going to eat the avo too.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, are there any other questions before we wrap it up? No, Kirst, thanks again. Thank you so much. That was so, so, so valuable. And, you know, like Nicole said, I think for me as well, one of the biggest takeaways is just that ability to take a pause, particularly something that I find really, really tough is going from my working morning. This is for the first time this year, all three of my children are at school during the morning, so until 12:30. And before, I think not that it was any easier, obviously, because I had my children at home, but I was like always in and out of the mum versus business role. Where now what I'm finding is for those 3 hours that my kids are at school, I am so focused and so in business role that then I really struggle to like what you spoke about, nurture or like go out of that focus, determined, hurry up, like let's get going. So I think that's where that's really valuable for me, particularly just to take those breaks between roles, between going from that boss role to that mum role, or from mum role to like crazy dinner time role. Sorry, my phone's ringing. But yeah, so just thank you for everything, and all of you guys for spending the morning with us. And yeah, Kirsty, if you can put the free stuff and your links into the group and we can all follow along and learn more from you. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Have a great weekend, everybody. And we will see you next week at Boss Mom Meetups.